Hey everyone, welcome. I am Reverend Wendy Silvers, and you have arrived at the Awakened Mother Show, where we have uncensored, free, organic, freestyle dialogues on subjects that will support you in your mothering and support you in being really conscious, awake, aware, and engaged. And so what's so wonderful about having these conversations is I can have people on that I'm not going to get censored, like I have been on YouTube, where people take things down. But these conversations are really unfiltered, they're raw, they're all the facts that you can handle and more, with links to connect with the speakers that I have on. And I want to show you, this is the Peace Mob, which the Million Mamas movement has a flash mob called the Peace Mob. And on Peace Sunday, several years ago, we did a flash mob in several locations. And then with 1 Billion Rising, we also did a flash mob. So we are here to support you in finding peace, power, prosperity, peace of mind, to be that arbiter of peace in your family, because these times are uncertain. There's a lot of really high stakes, a lot of things swirling in the morphic field. And so I am presenting you with information and inspiration to help keep you uplifted through these times, so that you can be the woman, the parent, the mother that you dream of being. And if you are not a mother, you just get to be the woman you dream of, or the man you dream of, or whatever. I'm not going to go down that road today. And just glad that you're here with us today. My guest today is Lisa Kassner. And Lisa is a volunteer educator on the digital non-compliance education team of globalwalkout.com. She was an area coordinator for Label GMOs. You know, those things that people keep talking about, like non-GMO, genetically modified organisms. Our bodies do not digest them. And there's lots of challenges when you're eating high processed, genetically modified, glyphosate sprayed foods. So I don't know if we'll get to that today, but I just want to put a little pin in that for you, because we will revisit that. And she is currently a spokesperson for weforhumanity.org. Global Walkout is a peaceful international initiative of organizations, as well as tens of thousands of individuals like you and me, that everyone can sign up for. GWO encourages people to take one small step at a time to opt out of the globalist efforts to trap and enslave humanity. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. of Children's Health Defense and Catherine Austin Fitz, investment banker, are two of GWO's notable participants. So what you and I do right now is extremely important. I was having a conversation actually with my husband earlier, and I said to him, this is something I've repeated throughout the years, and Lisa will talk about this, but something I've repeated throughout the years is, I don't really understand why it is that people don't want to know what's going on, because I ascribe to the forewarned is forearmed, so that if I know what's happening, I have the opportunity to transform it. But if I don't know what's happening, then it's that 11th hour and the amygdala starts going, and we're in the reptilian brain, and it's all survival. So Lisa is here because she's going to share information with you that I want you to have, along with solutions. So she's going to talk about the digital trap, cell phones, digital ID, QR codes, digital currency, biometric data, SMART, S-M-A-R-T technology, and other surveillance, collection of our personal information. That is going to be what our main focus is going to be on. However, there's going to be action steps. We're going to talk about some other things. So without further ado, please help me welcome Lisa Kassner to the show. And the crowd goes wild. Hi, Lisa.
Hi there. It's a pleasure to see you, Wendy. Thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I really appreciate your earnestness and your diligence in really collating this information and doing the research and sharing it as you have been to help people be informed so they know what to do. So prior to us going live, one of the things that we were speaking about was this digital trap, and you created this really great flow chart. So would you please be willing to share that so that people can refer to it as we're going along?
Of course, I'm going to show this on the screen, so I don't know if the viewers will be able to see us, but they'll be able to see the picture, which is what I'm going to explain. So
we should be there, and we're little Hollywood boxes on the right.
Okay, good. All right, so we are living in a world where we have a lot of wonderful freedoms, and we're used to those freedoms. And those freedoms are on the left side of the screen. And they include freedom of speech, and we can post what we want online, we can say what we want, we can buy whatever we want in whatever quantities we want, whether it's whether we want to eat healthy food, or we want to travel, we want to buy a house, we want to buy more than one house, we want to invest our money in whatever way. We have freedom to do that. We can eat what we want, go where we want. We have freedom to protect our health with our own choices, and we can protect our children's health. We can raise our kids as we want. We can own anything we want and associate with whomever we want. We have freedom of religion, and we have freedom from technological manipulation of our thoughts, feelings, and memory. So let's keep those in mind, because that is what we currently have. And the challenge we have right now is that there is something that I'm calling a digital control trap. And it is being built around us using the technology that we have gotten so used to, and we rely on, we enjoy, it's convenient, it makes us feel safe, or there's so much we do with technology, but I want you to see how these different pieces would work together, because these are all pieces of a trap that has been laid, and we are complicit in building it around us with the people who have created these technologies. So let's start. I'm thinking of this as an octagon, like a stop sign, because in the end, they'd like to be inside of this trap and to have our lives stopped, and we will not be able to access the freedoms which are on the left side of the page, because we will be stuck in this digital corral kind of trap. So if you look at number one to start out with, you see the smartphone. The smartphone technology, anything that's called smart, is a surveillance tool, and it's connected to a large computer. And so the smartphone never turns off, because the battery's still in it, and it transmits pictures of us, it transmits sound. And also we use our smartphone, our texts and our emails are not secure. Number two is a digital identity and QR code. Now we understand the QR code is that little box with the black and white, and we scan it perhaps when we go to the restaurant, and we think it's cool, and right now it's being promoted as the in thing. The QR code is part of an effort to link all of our activities to a giant database ledger called the blockchain. Eventually, these people who are behind this would like us to have a digital tattoo or install a computer chip. Basically, we would have our own QR code that identifies us. So I'm going to come back to that later. The third part here is where it says CBDC, which is short for central bank digital currency. It would replace US dollars. It's a really hot topic right now. This is problematic. It's not money that you can stick under your mattress. It would be owned by the bank that issues it, and it would be a privilege that can be turned off. We'll come back to that too. Now, number four the blockchain, which is a record of all your data, we know that all our data is being compiled in a very large computer somewhere. There's records of our, yeah, you want me to stop for a sec?
I want to go back, yes, because as you're going, I have a couple of questions.
Of course.
The one question that I have asked throughout the years is, what is the purpose of having slaves in this way? Like this computer in the sky, this big giant generator that's going to have billions of blockchain information. Who monitors it, and what is the, do you know what the ultimate purpose of this is?
You're asking what who's behind this and what their goal is? That's so, okay, so the key people who are behind this are the international bankers. And then in conjunction with them, there's the big tech companies that can use our data and can sell it to corporations so they can make money with our data. Let's say you're looking at a certain screen and it says you're shopping for a pair of pants, then they can let the pants company know that you're looking for pants, and they send you this. We see some of this when we do searches online already. So they're seeing a lot of opportunities. They think that if we had a digital ID, then they could close the deal very easily because you won't have the delay of going to find your credit card. All you'd have to do is scan your finger over some scan pad in the computer, and it would have all your information, and it would optimize their number of sales. So it's seen as a business opportunity for large companies that are connected with this whole system. The pharmaceutical companies are also in on this because part of the use of these the QR codes is to make sure that people got all of the various immunizations that they have planned for us. And try to explain this in a concise way. The World Health Organization wants us to have this digital ID. They have in mind that they have something called the Immunization Agenda 2030. You can learn more about it in a booklet called The WHO, The Singing Pig, which can be found online. And the WHO wants us to have a digital ID so that it will help them ensure that they could get us 500 injections a person by the year 2030. Now, for healthy people, it's hard to understand why we need 500 injections. I'm not sure what's in those. I can't tell you that they've tested them for safety, but they do not want us to opt out. So if they can get us to, the WHO is connected with
Gates.
a lot of other globalist players. So they're connected with Big Pharma. They're connected with the Communist Chinese, and I believe they're connected with the World Economic Forum. So they have an agenda, which is not something that we have voted for. We don't vote for the people who are behind any of this, and that's really the problematic piece of it. So the bankers, in terms of the central bank digital currency, what is that? How is that different from regular money? Well, the thing is that if you watch a video by a man named Augustin Carstens, Carstens, it's all over the internet. You can hear him for 1 minute. He says that he's the manager for the Bank of International Settlements. The international banking cartel wants us to have money that is digital because they can turn it off. They can decide it's a control system. This is Catherine Austin Fitts, who is an investment banker who's been sounding the alarm on this, is actually calling this whole system a digital concentration camp, which I find to be a little bit too emotional for people to take in. I think no one wants to be trapped, and it's very easy to see it as a trap, and we can just set it there because you don't need to make ourselves afraid. We want to make ourselves concerned that we're not stuck in a trap. But the problem here is this is not crypto. Crypto is decentralized. Central bank digital currency would be issued by the central bank of the United States. And in the end, the people behind this would like there to be one central bank digital currency for the entire world. And this is different from our money right now because it can be turned off and because it is connected with the digital information that they have about us. If we have money now, we can spend it on whatever we want, and it's not connected to any kind of information about us. And so there's no way for them to leverage any control over us.
Correct. Yes, thank you. And isn't it curious that crypto crashed, given the fact that it's decentralized and the push is for centralized, to have one digital currency worldwide that's controlled. So
It is
curious.
It is very interesting. I suspect, and if people want to read more, there's an excellent book that can be downloaded online by a woman named Corey Lynn, Lynn, and it's called Global Landscape on Vaccine ID Passports, I think it is. She's got a website called corysdigs.com, and she explains things like how with cryptocurrency would get us used to this, but used to using digital money. However, the goal is not to have decentralized digital money. The goal is to have centralized money. There's a lot of effort that's been made to train us to get used to a lot of aspects of this this kind of a trap, because we would not otherwise choose to yield our sovereignty over our own lives without it becoming convenient and fun, or being scared into certain behaviors.
Yes, yes, and as you point out in this very effective flow chart, the blockchain has records of your purchases, your vaccine data, your health records, your finances, and you say these records create a combined profile of your behavior, and that Amazon is a key data compiler.
Yes, it seems like Amazon is looking to control the market in the economy. You see that they've taken over Whole Foods now, which was a key source for us to get healthy foods. And now they're starting to institute that in order to get into the store, you have to scan your personal QR code, or you have to show your personal palm print, which means that you've yielded information about yourself, and that will be compiled, what you bought there. And it will, and for somebody who wants to opt out of this system, if the stores begin to require this and people want to opt out, it will make it extremely difficult for us to freely go and find food to eat for ourselves and our families.
Wow.
So we will have some ways, we'll talk about some things related to that. Yeah. Do you want me to continue and talk about the other aspects on this page?
What I would, I feel like in terms of the surveillance with the home security systems and Alexa and Ring, and vacuum robots, I know you have that powerful photo of that little child. But I think what I'd also love for you to speak to is the smart cities, because a lot of people are really excited about these smart cities, and there's a whole nother side to the smart cities.
Can you tell me why they're excited?
My understanding is that it's cleaner, it's easier, it's more simplified. They feel safer. There's some sort of containment for their cities.
Okay, so you want to know why there's a problem with it?
I do. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's called enforced ghettos. The people who are in Europe right now, they're testing this on them. They are preventing them from leaving the area which they live. They are telling, you can look at what's going on in Oxford in England. The government is blocking off the roads. They are telling, it's a slippery slope because it sounds really good. It sounds like we're going to save energy and everything's going to be very convenient. And it'll be very inconvenient until you won't be able to get to your job, and you won't be able to visit your mother who lives across town. And they will require you to show your digital ID in order to get there. And if you opted out of an immunization, or if you opted out of anything, let's say they didn't like what you posted online, you will be restricted based on, well, it's the tech version of let's see your papers.
Right.
You know, we having ghettos is supposedly unacceptable, and restricting people's behavior in a free country like this should be unacceptable. It's possible to be an environmentalist and choose not to drive and choose not to use energy without having an enforced restriction on people. It's not right. Just because I decide I want to do something or not do something in my personal life, are they really? It's like, are they really measuring how many showers I took this week, or how many miles of gasoline I drove? Because I conserve a lot of things, but I still want my freedom. This is really not about environmentalism, and it's not about the powers that be wanting us to have convenience. If you look at, there's a video where Maria Zeee did a whole expose on the smart cities about 2 weeks ago. And there's an organization called C40, it's called C40. And it talks about how the part of the smart city plan is that the mayors will get kickbacks. Mayors across the world will get kickbacks from some, large whatever source of money to enforce that people will only be able to buy 3 items of clothing per year, and they, that only can buy a certain amount of other things per year. That if we need to look at the larger picture, this is not about freedom and convenience. The people who are in charge of this don't care about our convenience. They care about controlling large numbers of people, because that somehow satisfies them internally. And I'm not going to get into human, by behavior and motivation. We don't know what's driving these people, except for that they want to have control over us. And we have to realize that this whole system is a control grid. I'm afraid that I won't be able to go see my mother. This is real stuff. So I think that's about what I need to say on that topic.
Okay. I appreciate that. One of the things what I was looking up as you were speaking is that Homeland Security, which was created after 9/11, when Obama was in office, the domestic terrorism, if I have it accurately, protests, and what is deemed protest, what is deemed to be anything that is considered misinformation, disinformation, is now going to be considered domestic terrorism. At some point, that's going to go, that was put into Homeland Security, I believe, and I want to have the exact date, but I believe it was in 2022, something that was added in terms of protest. So I want to get that completely accurate, but I believe that was something that was added. Something
I've heard about things, but I can't really speak to it.
Yeah, I can't speak to it fully, but I do remember hearing that. So it's really it's a very interesting confluence of different factors to do this. So I am curious with this and the biometric, so it's all it's like this octopus. Like you have in the center, you have the trap, right? You have that octagon, which is like a stop sign, and then you have all these tentacles that happen. Like, let's just say, the domestic things, protests being declared domestic terrorism. Then you have a smart city. Then you have all this biometric data, then you have digital ID, and you have all of these different tentacles. You have that little boy, and the vacuum was, do you have that slide to show?
Oh, sure. Oh, this is actually one of the pictures, the one that I did capture. This shows us that when we've invited technology into our home, we don't realize that it's spying on us. And so this is an interesting picture that was found online. This is a woman. There was actually a series of pictures. I didn't put it in my slideshow. This is a woman sitting on her toilet, and the picture of her ended up online. Her robot vacuum cleaner was going by, took a picture of her, and it got transmitted. This was in MIT Technology Review, which would clearly be a legitimate source. And she ended up there. Now, she had no idea when she was buying this vacuum cleaner that it was transmitting information about her. She thought it was conveniently cleaning her house. And there's something about having these technologies that the companies that prepare them, they can be embedded in things around our house that we don't even realize that they're there. And there's a movie out there called Surveillance Capitalism, which talks about how if that this is an extra profit center for businesses, that they can sell things and people don't know that they're being watched, but we know for sure that we're being listened to when we talk to Siri and Google, and Nest has information in it, and Facebook is transmitting our information and collecting it, and Amazon's got our information. So a lot of things that we rely on, but it's really unnerving to think that we're really been being watched to this degree.
And what's fascinating to me as well, something that I know a lot of the moms and parents that I work with, is this whole complete phone addiction for their kids, and how it's very from cradle on, oh, your kid here, give your kid, I don't have it in front of me, but give the tablet to the kid while you're sitting there taking care of something instead of interacting. And then here's the phone, and they're on TikTok, and there's this whole mentality for the kids, right? Because I've had conversations with tweens and teens, and I've said, hey, your information isn't your information. It's everything that you do is being stored, that information. So it's a form of surveillance. Oh, I don't really care that, they have everything anyway. If they want to find me, they will. And I'm so curious about that. And yet it's the indoctrination. Humanity has been indoctrinated without awareness. It is presented, it's marketed. I have a background. I did PR in the entertainment industry for quite a number of years. And so I understand the whole positioning and creating the stories around something, and then getting all the press, and it's a particular angle and a particular perspective. And so we're watching these generations be indoctrinated, and forget about the fact that one of the stages of child development is seeing mouths and teeth and eyes. And there are some kids that grew up watching adults with masks. I don't know the ripple effect of that. So it's you see this, and there's no informed consent. There's no indication, hey, fine print, we're going to be videoing you. We're going to be obtaining information and using it to sell you more, or using it so we know who you are.
The challenge, I 100% agree with you. And I've been assembling some of this myself in terms of how I've thought of it. You've heard some of the other things that I've said on this, that the issue is, we assume that, everyone's assuming that all of our information is not private. I mean, there's a whole generation of people who know that their information is not private, and they've learned to not value privacy. The challenge is to communicate that this will be used against them, because they have come to, the younger people have come to believe that the phone and all these technologies are their friend. They are so connected to the idea that it's positive that they don't realize that they are in danger. And that's this effect, the gradual, the frogs in the pot. They don't realize that they're about to be, all their freedom's about to be fried up, because it's being taken from them. They just assume that everything is okay because this has always been okay. And I think there was an intent that there was a discussion. There's a book out there from the 1970s about the technotronic era by Zbigniew Brzezinski, talking about going forward, that the use of technology. And he was a globalist thinker, and he was a Secretary of State under President Carter. I think that this was all planned, that the technology would be used as this, in this way, because there's a discussion 100 years ago that these globalists wanted a new world order with a one world government. And they published information about it. But how do you have a one world government with one money? You'd have to get people to yield their freedoms in one way or another. And if you make it gradual, people don't realize that the heat is being turned up. They think everything is naturally developing, natural progress. And for us to be conscious of it means really a shift in ourselves to see that what is being done to us is bad for us, because if we cannot commit ourselves to saying no, if we can't say no inside of ourselves and realize that what we're doing is really counterproductive in the long term for ourselves and our families, then we won't get out of our own mindset. We won't get out of our own way. One of the things that was discussed by Dr. Michael Yeadon, who is a PhD in respiratory toxicology. I think he had been a vice president at Pfizer, and he's talked about how this the digital money and digital ID would work. I'm going to go back to something that I didn't show here, which is how this works. Your smartphone or your computer chip is in your hand, and you have a digital tattoo, whatever it is, that you're scanning yourself. You're identified yourself, and maybe a QR code, and maybe your phone, and then you scan what you want to buy. You're at the checkout counter, sort of like at Costco. You show your Costco card. So they put the Costco card in with your driver's license, but now instead it's going to be your hand, and it's going to be whatever at Costco. You're going to scan whatever you want to buy. It goes into this giant database. The database will be connected to the giant computer in the cloud, and then it'll compare you to standards of acceptability. And the standards of acceptability would be, have you bought too much food this month? Maybe you've bought too much meat. Maybe you bought eggs. We don't really believe eggs are good. We really would rather have you buy GMO foods. We'd really rather have you buy things made out of worms and insects, or dog meat, or human flesh. I mean, they have all kinds of things on the table about things that these people would like us to eat instead of what we normally eat, which we know is healthy for us. Maybe we've bought too much already, or maybe we have a political view that we posted on Facebook. But the one that really is unnerving that I want to mention about Dr. Yeadon is he said, what if you're a grandmother and you got the COVID shot, but your grandchild didn't? That it could show up as you're connected. You know how we do 23andMe and all these other systems where all of our information, they know who we're related to. They know, the genealogy sites online, they know who people are. So like my bank had a questionnaire. It said, Well, to know that we know who you are, can you tell me if somebody with a particular name is a member of your family, which means that they know who's related to me in the computer. They're already using it to identify me. So they have that already. So next, they're going to decide whether, so Dr. Eden says, we can compare this and say, you know, your grandchild didn't get a COVID shot. You might have gotten it, but your grandchild didn't get it. So if you want to shop today, your grandchild's going to have to get the COVID shot. So they're leveraging you against your family member. Well, you know, that might be your daughter's decision whether or not she's getting some immunization for her kid. It's not up to you, but now it's the whole family pressure cooker that you are now going to be decided about what happens to you based on what they decide in the computer. And then they say, yeah, you can't go in, or you can, or you can buy that, or you can't. And they've already tested this in China. If I wanted to live in China, I'd be living in China. There's Americans living in China. They're doing this in China. People can't go to protests. People beg that to be allowed to do something because they screw something up. They're afraid to talk in front of their phone. They have to talk privately. It's a communist system. In a democratic society, or a constitutional republic that we have here in the United States, this doesn't belong here. So we need to figure out what it is that we need to do to not have this happen, because this cannot stand. I don't know if you have questions about what, more about how this would work, but it's hard to imagine this would belong here.
Yeah. And what I want to offer in the remaining moments that we have, I definitely want to continue this dialogue, but also is there a checklist? Are there things that people can do to really, a lot of what I hear you saying, what I think about is, of course, consciousness. Everything begins and ends in consciousness, and agency. Oh, there it is. Awareness, critical thinking. So I really would love to close out with this, and then we can, make sure everybody has connection to you, and that we can keep this conversation going so that people are informed, so that not walking around with their amygdala activated and they're out of their reptilian brain.
Okay, for sure. Let's say that our key strategy is non-compliance. They need us to comply. We have to realize that when we are doing all these various things in our lives without consciousness, we are complying with them without knowing it. So now that we know the kinds of things that are going on, we know that we can use our mind, our soul, our feet to walk out, our mouth to say no and inspire others and educate them. We can decide whether or not what we buy or don't, and we can expose ourselves to surveillance of various things or not. And this is a page with a personal action plan. When the people who see this video, you'll be able to freeze on the screen and you'll be able to see this. The personal action plan in the basic points would be to limit use of surveillance by cell phones, including emails, texts, or internet, using more secure technology, and keeping your phone in a Faraday bag when you don't need it. You don't need to have it sitting out all the time. You can use it more on an as needed basis. That would be more prudent. Refuse to use any QR codes. It's not for convenience. This is to train us. Don't allow them to digitally chip you. They want to hack into people's brains using computer chips. That's from Yuval Noah Harari at the World Economic Forum. You don't want anything stuck in your body. You don't want anything related to digital ID. Fight back against digital currency by using cash. Keep extra cash in your car, keep it in your wallet, give it to your kids to spend. It creates anonymity. It keeps us free. Keep your personal data private. Don't give it when they ask you for your vaccine information. When you go to the doctor, they don't need it. I will have more information we can share here. Educate others and prepare for non-compliance and self-sufficiency. Keep more extra food on hand and water. This is a summary of that page. Now I will show here, this is a summary of my action checklist. I'm showing this now because I know that people will be able to see it on the computer simply by freezing the screen. This is a comprehensive action checklist that I shared as part of a presentation that I did. And then that's page 1, and this is page 2, which includes all these different things that you can do. There are a lot of, the easiest way to go about this is to go to a website that is part of the organization that I'm giving these presentations that I'm affiliated with. The website is called Reignite Freedom. It's Reignite Freedom. It's a part of the global walkout.com, but you can Reignite Freedom. You can sign up there for emails, which give you the action step of the week. You can see the previous action steps. Some of the ones that I mentioned are on there, and there's other ones I did not mention. And the intent is to organize a large number of people to say no. And one other thing that I would mention is that it would be valuable to go to your store and tell them that you do not want them to require scanning your QR code, scanning your hand, scanning, you want them to continue to use cash, or you will not shop there anymore. I think we need to, as families who care about healthy eating, we need to use our leverage and tell them we do not want this. They may be being sold to that this is a valuable thing they won't get stolen from or something, but we don't benefit. So we need to go to them, get your group of moms on your street, go over to whatever small stores that are around and tell them you don't want this, so that at least we can maintain our access to healthy food.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This has been very informative. I really appreciate all that you shared, and I will make sure that people know. Is there, besides the Reignite Freedom, how can people reach you, Lisa?
If they want to reach me, they can email me. My email address is labelgmos80@gmail.com. That's LAB like boy, EL, G like George, MO like the letter O, S, and then 80, labelgmos80@gmail.com. I'd be happy to be in contact with anybody, and I'm looking to have people who are spreading the message, because right now is the time we need to fight this. They're looking to roll out this digital ID and the digital currency very soon.
Yes.
And Americans are not standing up. People will realize that there's people standing up around the world against this stuff. Once they institute it, God forbid, we will not have any choices, because all protests will be frozen out by their system. So we only have now.
Right.
And so I want everyone to feel empowered and positive. The first thing we need to do is have a positive attitude. Feel in your mind and your heart that we can do this. There's many more of us than there are of these other people who want to do this to us, and they're attempting to co-opt everybody. And our strength is in saying no.
Yes. No is a complete sentence, I like to say. So thank you so much. And everybody, you will find this on Rumble. It will be also on YouTube. Make sure that you hit that little bell and says subscribe, so that you see every episode of the Awakened Mother Show. I am Reverend Wendy Silvers. I am here for you. If you need any support, or when you need support, if there's some information, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Lisa. It's been great to be with you.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for having me. All right.
Yes.
Be well.
You too.